For as much as America is a blend of cultures, beliefs, and perspectives,
we're all faced with making some political choices in an election year.
when it comes to many issues and the politics that surround them, unity can feel like it fades into the background. This week, we look at division in America, the role some say social media plays,
polarizing responses.
It can be exhausting.
and the efforts to bring us back together as the midterms grow closer. This is The Race. A lot of times I hear from people who say, can't we just all get along? Especially at times when issues that are really polarizing, like Roe v. Wade and guns, take center stage. But the truth is, it can be difficult even to just grab a cup of coffee and talk with someone that you know has different political beliefs than you do. But that's what we're going to take in today. We've been invited to a house where strangers are getting together and they know that the other people in the room don't necessarily see things the way that they do. And we're looking to see, at a time when many issues divide us, whether these conversations can still produce a new level of understanding.
It's the signs in people's yards, right? I see people putting up these signs for local or general elections, and I just think, oh my gosh, what are they? Why would they put that sign out? Or I think, yes, we're on the same team.
Politics creates that tribe, that belonging, and that being listened to, and they're going to make a difference.
I would never put a political sign in my yard because I feel it's so private.
We have this tendency to just think that anyone who disagrees with me must just be stupid or irrational.
I'm sitting with people who had never met before they were brought together for this story.
I'm really excited about this conversation because I think that, as we approach elections, generally it takes up a lot of space in our lives.
If the idea of getting people who are conservative, liberal, and in between into one room to talk politics makes you anxious, I don't blame you.
I think our society has come to the point that we're always pointing fingers and looking outside of ourselves. Why aren't they listening to me?
Most of American politics today divides you into two camps.
But this is what Becca Curl does.
If you typically jump into judgment or making assumptions, then this is a way for you to examine that and be like,
I reached out to her because her nonprofit, Living Room Conversations, is all about getting us to meet people who have different opinions.
You mentioned Roe v. Wade earlier. When these really hard lines come down, there are a few people in my life that I go to their social media who I know disagree with me. Because I just need to see, what are they thinking? What is it that I'm missing, right? And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, no, this is not it. And sometimes I think, oh yeah, I forgot that your son was almost a late-term abortion, but he's here now and he's doing great, right? Like those health things I didn't think about before.
Our conversation was structured. Becca says it's important to set ground rules so people don't interrupt.
if you feel uncomfortable, if you think someone's gone way off topic, you can make the timeout sign.
We don't take the time to really understand somebody else's viewpoint. I would never start with a stranger. I almost didn't tell Becca I would come today. Because it's strangers, but now it's not.
But outside of this room, I wanted to know what it takes to be productive when it feels like there is no in-between. How do we handle those situations better?
For one thing, we have to recognize that it's not a compromise, right? I'm gonna share what I believe, and maybe somebody else is gonna share what they believe. And we may or may not come to any sort of I don't expect necessarily somebody to change their mind because of what I said.
What I found from this more than hour-long conversation is that while campaign season can present a world of division, understanding can be discovered by having at least curiosity about an opinion that at first you may not like.
Like it or not, November 8th, Election Day, is quickly approaching. And right now, key decisions are being made by the leaders of the Democratic and Republican parties on where to spend the money and on which candidates.
You know, voting happens in every single county across the country, but the reality is control of this place is decided by a handful of states.
So where are the Senate races to watch in 2022? Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are all states that are considered the biggest toss-ups this year for the U.S. Senate. The most money will be spent in those states. Places like Colorado and New Hampshire favor Democrats, but many Republicans think they could win there too. As a result, plenty of cash will be spent there as well. Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio all lean Republican based on polls, but some Democrats think they have a chance, and as a result, big fundraisers and big checks are being written there too.
This midterm election will be the most expensive in those states. One estimate has $8.8 billion expected to be spent on this year's campaign. For perspective, the last big midterm in 2018, $3.9 billion was spent.
For the moment, the Senate races are attracting the most attention and money. The chamber is split 50-50, and if Republicans pick up just one seat, Senator Mitch McConnell would lead the Senate again, not Senator Chuck Schumer. That would severely limit the power of President Biden for the next 2 years. But don't forget about the House of Representatives. Any new law has to pass that chamber too, and every member is up for re-election this year. Right now, Republicans, who are currently led in the House by Representative Kevin McCarthy, are projected to take back the majority. If that happens, Speaker Nancy Pelosi could retire from Congress. Of course, polls have been wrong before, and they could be wrong again.
So in short, expect a very competitive and a very costly autumn in this country. With control of this place on the line in Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
I'm Thomas Hoppo, and we're looking at social media and the Great Divide.
You see these incredibly polarizing responses around these topics, and those are the responses that seem to gain the most traction.
Where this division comes from and what things on social media platforms actually unite us.